The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV.
Y'all ready for this?
Booyah! We are back. It is Wednesday, June 27th, 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. That means it's time for another installment of Southern Nevada Sports News coming to you from WWDBTV.com. My name is Bill Miller, co-host.
Belknap.
And as you can see, we have an in-studio guest. But before we get started, on a sad note, if you're a headbanger like Jeff and I are, grew up, and you realize that Pantera is a group that we come in on. The drummer, unfortunately, passed away just last week, and unfortunately I forgot his name, but I think it was only about 55 or
young guy.
56,
It's
young
a rough
guy.
life.
Yeah, and so anyway, just on a sad note. And as far as, of course, the disclaimer, it is our opinion, and it's the only one that counts around here.
Yes.
So the fact that you keep coming back and joining us means that you're up for it.
Somebody must like
Yeah. So let's.
We have one more sad note, though.
Yeah.
Rick Harrison from the Pawn Stars passed.
Oh, that's
Old
right.
Man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the old
sad.
the old man.
Yeah.
On Pawn Stars.
And, I was lucky enough to meet a couple of members of the family, and this is kind of a rough time, for them to kind of go through. But hey, our prayers are with them, obviously.
Absolutely.
We're a big fan of the show.
Kind of a local legend
Yep.
around here in the show. It just immediately took off.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is just drive by there any time of day or night when they're open, and there's usually a line of people just trying to get in.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then right next door, obviously, Rolling Smoke.
Rolling Smoke Barbecue.
They have their own bar and everything. Rick bartends.
The best barbecue in town.
Oh, without a doubt. We've been there several times.
Oh my God, yeah.
Big
yeah.
fans.
And these rascals.
And that is a plug.
That
Mike,
is a plug.
That's a plug, Mike. I gave
Plus,
you a plug.
these rascals are from Arkansas, and that's where my mom and my grandparents and siblings are from, Fort Smith, Arkansas. So yeah.
Well, I can tell you this: the hamburger that they give you is about this big.
Yeah, it is obscene.
And when they first served it to
really
me,
obscene.
I'm looking at it like, what am I going to do with this thing?
What did you do with it?
I just squashed it down, man. Just
And
took
went
a
to
big
work?
bite and just went to town. I didn't finish it though. It was really too big to finish, but it was a fantastic meal. And I saw Mike. He's always a great guy. He's at the one on Flamingo in 215.
Yeah, and I think one of our ex-players is Pitmaster.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
At the is it the one over on
The one on Industrial. Or Dean Martin or whatever it is back there.
Yeah.
Oh, Highland. It's Highland.
Highland, that's it.
Underneath DI. Yep.
Yeah. All right, but anyway, once again we are back, and we're all here to entertain you. At the same time, you got to have our opinion.
That's right.
We're fortunate to have an in-studio guest. This is Ben Rowden. I'm sorry, I almost said Rowden. Yeah? And Ben is, you're I think videographer.
Videographer, yep.
Videographer.
Yep.
Way to do it. But at the same time, you've coached, you've played a number of sports. And and thank you very much, first of all, for coming in. And before the show started, thank you for actually saying that you watched the show, and you actually know us. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, you guys do a great job. It's always nice to see other people that are doing things that really aren't being done in certain areas, right? I like seeing production and seeing people give other people exposure, and you guys are doing a great job of that.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Now, we always like to get the where you're from sort of thing. Are you a native?
I'm not. I'm
Okay.
actually
All right.
been here about a year and a half now. Native of Metro Detroit. Grew up right outside the city.
Okay.
Yep,
That's me
same
too.
area. Went to a all-boys Catholic high school, Brother Rice.
Okay.
Played football and lacrosse there, and then went on to play college university in Central New York.
Oh, nice.
Played 2 years of football, got hurt, moved into the weight room as a strength and conditioning intern, and also kind of helped start coaching on the field as a DB's coach.
Okay.
I was kind of a natural, one of those player coaches right away, and it was a natural slide right over into coaching. Got into coaching right after college, back at my alma mater. Took 1 year off and then went back as an assistant and then the JV head coach for a couple of years.
Right.
Moved on. I took a 3-year break. I was working in the private sector, doing regular jobs. It's always tough to get those afternoons off to coach every day in the fall.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
But I was able to move around. I moved to Omaha, Nebraska for a year and then to Richmond, Virginia. In Richmond, I was actually able to start my own company, and it allowed me to get that flexibility again. So I got back into coaching football in Richmond and coached for about 4 years there before moving back home to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved home to Michigan, I was going back to my alma mater to coach. Our head coach, Coach Fracassa, was the all-time winningest coach in Michigan history just until recently. He was retiring in another year, so I went back. I was actually fortunate to be on his last staff. At the same time, varsity coach, and our lacrosse program, Brother Rice, is a pretty dominant program in the state of Michigan and a pretty solid program in the Midwest. Our varsity coach was looking for a JV head coach.
Right.
Now our JV program, Brother Rice, was really our freshman program. We played up, and then we had a JV program that played as a varsity B program. So we were playing up. So my JV program was really my freshman squad, but I'd never coached lacrosse before. So he asked me 2 weeks before the season. So I buried my head in YouTube. I just went into lacrosse drill videos. Really took the football coach mentality of starting to coach lacrosse, and just fell in love with coaching lacrosse as well. So coached lacrosse for 4 years alongside football. So I was a football and lacrosse coach back home in Michigan. Because then I started working, started working for a small TV production company that puts on a high school sports highlight show. It's on Fox Sports Detroit, covers the whole state of Michigan. It's called State Champs. They've been around for about 14 or 15 years now.
Okay.
Pretty good program. They do a great job of covering all different sports, boys and girls, and they just do a really good job. What I did during that job was I got really hooked on YouTube videos. Started watching all these other YouTube videos to really kind of figure out my own style. That's where I actually learned about Bishop Gorman. Obviously, Bishop Gorman put some money into their program.
Oh yeah.
Little
bit.
If you go back and watch some of their season-ending highlight films, you'll see a lot of similarities to my style now. It's kind of one of the videos that was like, that's what I want to do. I'd always videoed when I was coaching. When I was 15 years old, my Little League coach asked me to come back and film from up top on the press box our Little League program. So even going back, to 15 years old, I've been filming. Now I kind of got into the more highlight filming, the more specialized, kind of making everybody look good, going to slow-mo.
Sure.
It's a little different. When parents reach out to me to do videos, especially for individual videos, I always preface it with, it's not a recruiting video. It's a great video to highlight your son or daughter.
Right.
But coaches, you still want to see that up top video, right? They're used to seeing the up top video. They compare it to other,
make sure you're hitting
other
the holes
players.
or,
Yeah. But what my video does is it can still bring eyeballs. So it's going to make everybody look good, and hopefully people like what they see. I do get a lot of compliments. Really, it's actually the compliments that's kind of
keeps you going.
Well, it's actually pulled me away from coaching a little bit.
Oh wow, okay.
I don't think I've actually, since I moved out here, I've coached 2 years of lacrosse at Bishop Gorman, and 1 year of flag football, 5th and 6th graders over at Alexander Dawson.
Okay.
That was an experience, going from varsity football of a top 5 program in the state of Michigan down to 5th and 6th grade flag football.
Yeah.
It was a test of patience at times, for sure. But it was a
While
great
they're
time.
out picking daisies and everything,
Yeah.
you're like, no, come over here.
And it's a great time, and I love coaching, I love teaching, but it's really time consuming. So it's really tough because it really pulled me away from videos, especially this year with lacrosse. My spring output was way down this year because I was actually coaching our varsity and our JV program this year.
Oh wow!
So it was a big deal. I don't think I'm going to continue coaching, but that's so that I can do more videos.
That's what you're saying now.
That's what I'm saying now. We'll see. I may miss it too much and may get back into it. I may also try to get into doing more camps and clinics. I really enjoy teaching fundamentals. The games, sometimes aren't as fun.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's amazing that how this has become. That is the videography for athletes, just in terms of putting together their own highlight, and for and it makes it much easier for recruiters. They almost expect it now.
Yeah.
That and I think they would probably be surprised if you don't have some.
At least a huddle.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Huddle's the big thing. Huddle's an interesting program. An assistant coach and my friend of mine, when I was in Richmond, Virginia, he and I were actually working on a business plan for film sharing, because that back in the day, you literally had to have either VHS or a CD, DVD, and you would go meet the coach either the Saturday or Sunday.
And
over the weekend, you'd exchange, and then you'd start breaking down. Now it's the night of. You upload that film, and you can share film that night for your next week's opponent, and it's a pretty amazing software. I like to say we were working on the same stuff, but Huddle did it way better.
So. They had a little bit bigger budget.
They did.
So
but like you said, now it's expected, and what it's great though is it's easy. Parents can do it with their phones nowadays. So even if a program doesn't have a great video, up top, parents can get great video with their phones. Everybody has them in their pockets now. Even the cameras that I'm using, the one that I was using for the last year and a half was, I'm not gonna say budget, it was still an $1,100 camera, but the quality of output that I was putting out was, a little bit beyond that $1,100 because the technology's just gone in places where it's really opened up everything. So it's great.
So is there a particular program that you use?
So I use Adobe Premiere to edit. It's one of the industry standards. There's Adobe Premiere, Final Cut Pro, but Adobe, because you can get into the Photoshop and a lot of the photos as well. I don't do too many stills, although I get asked a lot, so I'm trying to work on getting a little bit better at stills as well. But yeah, that's the program I use. I'm now upgrading. I did upgrade my camera this year, so I'm going up to a GH5 and a whole bunch of lenses.
Well,
so it's
I can tell you that when Bill and I owned the team, I was the videographer. And I first bought a camera. I'm like, I'll just shoot it with this, and then I was like, well, I need another camera. And then I got another camera, and I'm like, wait, this one's got this, though. Then I used to keep buying it. So it is definitely a trap being a videographer and a photographer.
The
because
toys.
you start to see what all these different things, understand why someone will spend $5,000-6,000 on the camera because of what this camera will do. But we always think, I can get by with a $500 camera. And then next thing you know, you're spending $1,000 and $2,000 and $3,000.
The amazing thing about that is it's mostly just us that are seeing that, right?
Yeah.
When you actually put it out to the people that are watching your videos, they don't see a lot of the differences between those levels of camera. It's all the nerds that are looking at the tech, and we want to see that next quality. But I do like it because even if I go back over my own stuff, I really try to progress with every video. I try to get a little bit better. I try to shoot a little bit differently or edit a little bit differently and try to keep getting better. And that's an exciting progress too.
Well, I can tell you, I shot a UNLV hockey game. The very first one I shot was absolutely horrible. And the worst part about it was the live stream. So afterwards, I was able to go in and read the comments, and I'm like, oh man, this is terrible. So what I did was I ended up going and shooting a couple of practices, because then I could get used to the way the camera worked and everything. So by the time the next game came around, I was like, okay, I got this a little bit better, and then it just progresses from it does. I mean, it's like you get better every time.
Well, and it's interesting. I do feel like I shoot sports well, but it's because I've played every sport under the sun, whether it was recreationally just picking it up and having a good time, or actually playing it seriously for a team. And that helps. It helps to anticipate plays, knowing where things are coming. I always kind of joke with guys on the sidelines when plays come right at me. I'm like, yeah, it helps to know where the play's going. I don't know where the play's going. It's just you go to the right spot.
That's right.
But now also the next step is, as I get busier, I'm trying to now look for other people that may be interested in shooting for me, so I can still edit more games but have multiple shooters. And that's the next step, is trying to find shooters that are good, make sure that they can shoot sports.
Let me ask you, how do people...
Wait, hold on. Did you just try to recruit me?
Maybe, possibly.
So. I think that definitely may have been in there.
That was kind of across the bow, but I did see
I'm kind of looking for people, so I can spend more...
And anybody watching.
He knows that you're doing it. Let me ask you, how do people reach out to you? Let's say that, hey, look, I've got my son, and I want to, get him, something like that. I mean, do you have, clearly you're probably socially media conscious.
Social media, email, I have rowdensreels@gmail, Rowden's Reels Instagram, Rowden's Reels YouTube, Rowden's Reels Twitter. So Rowden's Reels is the new, brand. When I came over, it was just my name, Ben Rowden. So there's some old videos on my old YouTube channel, but I've really transferred over to the brand Rowden's Reels. So Rowden's Reels@gmail is the best way, or really through any of the Instagram, Twitter, all the social media.
And I suspect you developed a network of some of the coaches in the area.
They now know me. I don't know as many of them, right? A lot of times it was showing up, and the one thing I've had help is the beard's helped, right? The beard kind of it makes me recognizable.
I was going to bring the beard. Yeah, what
so
beard are you talking about?
they remember me when I show up. So now I've used it into the logo. Now I'm kind of stuck with it.
That's a great logo.
Although
Very
I tell
cool.
people I can disappear whenever I want. All I got to do is shave the beard off. But now I'm kind of stuck with the beard. It works. It works well, and so far it's been great reactions from the coaches. Usually what happens is the second time I go visit a team, they tell me they saw the first video and they really enjoyed it, and that's kind of how the relationships develop from here.
Yeah, we know a
That's
number of
great.
the high school coaches in the area. In fact, we've got head coach for Legacy High School.
Coming on next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
and
excited to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, and it's really the idea now is that we're trying to get these guys now because we know that there's a very short window and they're going to get right back to work.
Yeah, it gets busy quick. It's amazing, now living in a couple different states and seeing how the different high school associations, how they, lay down different rules. In Michigan, you're very limited on what you can do in the off season. So it's very, very little practices, and then they cut down on our two-a-days in our fall camp.
Right.
So we were struggling as coaches to get everything installed. Whereas here, they're doing a lot of spring ball, a lot of summer stuff. They're allowed to do a little bit more to prepare, which is great because they're doing it for the most part without pads. They're able to do all the stuff of teaching without having to go into two-a-days and just grind.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So it's good to see.
Well, the one thing that I've noticed, and Bill and I have discussed this several times, about going out and recruiting people in the school to shoot the games, do live streams, get it out there. And the obstacle that we ran into was the NIAA, and they based on all the video, all the film, all the streaming and everything. And to me, it's sad. And that was a conversation that I had with them because they own the rights to all that. And I basically told the guy, like, well, what are you gonna do with them? Since you own the rights, is it a money issue?
Right.
Do you want money? Because that's kind of like extortion in a sense. But like, if you're not going to do it and let companies do it, then why don't you do it? And which is what I kind of laid out. And I think what would help if people started doing this, like what you and I are doing, and what the guys over at the high school football.
Yeah.
What they're doing. I mean, they got they follow high school football better than anybody else. The 702.
The 702 at
702,
HSB.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
HSB.
Those guys are great.
To his
And-
dad, Victor, and Anthony.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
guys do a great job. But I think it might take the pressure from all of us working together to finally break through there.
It's interesting. So last year, when I first started trying to go out for football season, I came here December of 2016. So I immediately started showing up at Bishop Gorman basketball games and just shooting.
Yeah.
And I did have a relationship with the lacrosse coach, and then went and introduced myself to Grant Rice, the basketball coach, now the athletic director as well. They liked what I did, so they just kept allowing me to show up. So I didn't have any problem shooting that winter season. Then I was shooting, for the most part, lacrosse that spring. Well, lacrosse is a club sport, so I had no issue shooting that spring.
Right.
Then I waited the summer. Then football season, I went out and I showed up. I think I showed up at Las Vegas High School, and the athletic director, I introduced myself, said kind of what I did. It's just I just do free videos basically at this point. And he's like, I can't let you on the sidelines, and I had locked everything down. So I actually emailed them and just explained who I was, sent a link to my work. Really just told them what I was doing, and they were actually kind enough to give me a press pass. One of the things they did say is they're working on a website to try to push out more content. I still haven't seen the website, but I offered some of my content. I want to be a part of it. What can I do to help be a part of it? Because yes, I want to do this as a business and make some money as well, but it's really still about promoting sports and promoting youth and high school athletics,
Well,
Right.
which
my
is still a
thought-
passion of mine.
My thought is that you reach out to the journalism part of the schools and you say, look, we need 5 guys to cover a game. You get a writer out there, you get a couple of photographers, and then you basically say, hey, this is what we're going to do. And you're basically teaching them how to do what you and I love to do.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing like being on the sideline. It's like next to the action. Except for when the ball's coming at you in like 4 players, then it's not, it doesn't get as fun. But
You go back, and not every high school had one, but you see the high schools that had the AV clubs, right? And some
Yeah.
of them do a great job. Some of them just do little shows. Some
Yeah.
do more. Now it's blown up on some schools, right? And you can go find some schools that do an unbelievable job of pushing out content. But it seems like a lot. You're right. A lot of schools, and maybe it's because of the athletic association not allowing it, don't do it as much as they could because this is a generation where these kids want to be on YouTube. They
Yeah.
want to push content. They're
Yeah.
all doing it.
Yeah.
So now you give them more of a platform to do it, not only better, but teach them how to do it professionally, and then now they can push their own stuff as well. That opportunity is there, and it's still amazing that not more schools have taken advantage of it.
Well, I mean, but you're saying in Las Vegas because there's other states that
Other
do
states
this on a huge
but,
level.
But even in other states, it's
Yeah.
I don't see anybody doing it really regularly where every school in a league is really competing with great media, right? It might be one or two schools push it, and even schools here, some of them do, some of them don't. But yeah, it's interesting to see the dynamic, and then there's some companies out there that are allowing schools to do it at a very, very cost-effective level. There's one called, I think, High School Cube that really allows you to stream for free. Then they put their own ads up. Then if you get a following, you can start selling your own ads and make money as well. And there's multiple companies out there setting up platforms for it. Again, you can just use YouTube, and everybody can do that.
Right.
But it's
doing
pretty
that in
amazing.
Nevada?
That one, I don't know if they're
Yeah.
doing in Nevada because I know.
that's actually what they would not allow us to do.
Right.
The NIA.
There were certain rules, like in Michigan, you had to do it password protected.
Right.
But then you could tweet out your password to everybody and still live stream.
Yeah.
So there were just certain rules you had to follow, and the nice thing is that High School Cube actually knew the rules per state. So
That's good.
if they're in Nevada, they'll know the rules of how to get around it. Sometimes it's a matter of you have to delay it, right? So it's not live. Now you're just putting it up a half hour or an hour later, and it becomes taped.
That's
You
good.
know.
Good
So.
to know. So what else? What other projects you got going?
I started working this past season with LV Elite. It's a youth program in Vegas. They play in the NYS,
Yep.
NY Youth Sports
Yep.
Association,
NYS,
all the
yeah.
different
Yep.
associations we work with. Their 10U actually just went out and won in Temecula, won in the little, little national championship tournament that they played in this past weekend. So shout out to them. Congratulations to them. But it's nice starting to work with the youth programs around and seeing how popular youth football is in Vegas.
Huge.
I didn't realize they had a spring tackle season.
Yeah.
So that's great to see. I was just in Austin, Texas over the weekend, and they actually do what's called extreme flag football, where they put shoulder pads and helmets on the kids, but they still pull flags. So there's no tackling, but they can block. Now you're protected with your helmet and shoulder pads, and they're getting used to playing with them, but they're still playing flag football. So I thought that was a nice little
Yeah.
in-between as well. I'm actually a pretty big advocate for, I don't think kids need to hit until 8th, 9th grade. So I'm a big advocate of the flag football, at certain levels.
Yeah.
But I do love football. It's a great
huge.
sport, and it's still a great sport for any young boy, young man to play. Really young girls too. It's a great team sport, and you get humbled, you get confidence, you get all sorts of the whole range of life experiences
Well, not
in
only
one
that,
sport.
but the building of relationships. It was funny because I was just we posted a video on our Instagram. It was for last week's show, and I started looking through the people that liked it, and I'm like, wow, these are all guys that either played for us or that have relationships with us through football.
Yeah. It's amazing, both playing and coaching, you do build relationships, and now with social media, being able to see and kind of maintain relationships throughout the years, and now I'm seeing players that I coached that are kids, and
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
am I that old? I guess I
What
am, but
happened?
it's been a while, so
That's
yeah,
great.
it's a thing to see though. And again, I'm passionate about youth and high school sports, which is why most of my videos are around it. I do other video projects, but obviously my passion is sports.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Well, we've got a few minutes left, and we know certainly that you're a football fan. So
Yep.
every guest, we always ask about projections coming up for the upcoming Super Bowl. This will be 2019.
I might get in trouble with this one.
And and it's very easy. We'd like to know who your AFC and NFC representative is for the Super Bowl, and ultimately who is going to win it. So
I,
start with whichever one you want.
I am a hometown Lions fan.
Yes.
My cousin actually is TJ Lang, so he plays for the
Nice.
Lions. He played for the Packers for 8 years, which was tough because for 8 years I was a Packers fan,
Yeah.
which was crazy.
That's
It was really, really tough to root for a team that broke my heart as a kid.
So many times.
So many times. Brett Favre, at least Favre wasn't their quarterback when TJ was playing for them,
Right.
because I would not have been able to root for Favre. He ripped my heart out with Barry Sanders
Well,
so
he's
many
ripped out
times.
a lot of hearts.
Oh.
Wait, okay, so before, was he on the team when they threw the Hail Mary
Yeah.
in the Phantom face mask?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Last year was his first year with the Lions. So as much as I like the moves the Lions have made, and I think they're going to make a nice jump, I don't think they're going to make the Super Bowl.
Oh,
Let's
man.
just put that out there. What's the saying? Same old Lions.
I'm still gonna
SOL. I try not to go that way, but you know, in the NFC, you know who I really like is the Rams.
Yeah.
What they did
loaded
last
up.
year. Obviously, the Eagles aren't going anywhere. The Eagles are going to be just as good as they were last year,
Yep.
maybe better with Wentz back. But the Rams have added talent, and they were already really, really good last year. So that's going to be really tough to deal with them. It's hard to go against some of the quarterbacks. Rodgers is going to do great things, but I just don't think he has the supporting cast.
I don't think he does either.
AFC, it's amazing what Brady and the Patriots do year after year. It's the easy pick.
They just do what they do.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and every year you see different things. It's like, oh, maybe that's a chink in the armor, and maybe it's not going to happen this year. But I just don't see anybody else really doing it. Pittsburgh's probably the next most talented team, or the most talented team in the AFC.
Yep.
And they love to shoot themselves in the foot and not really get there. So I think it's going to be Rams and Patriots, and honestly, I think the Rams will take it.
Well, they got to pay
Wow.
for that stadium somehow.
They
Yes.
do. They do.
They got some money to make up.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, you're the first one to pick the Rams,
Yeah.
and certainly to pick the Rams to win it all. I mean, that's hey, listen. I mean, I'm an LA homeboy. I mean, I grew up with
There you go.
the blue and white Ram uniforms over at the Coliseum, Roman Gabriel, Fearsome Foursome, and I dropped them like a bad habit when they moved. But I swore that if they ever, whatever team moved to LA, that I would be an LA fan. And
Yep.
luckily, it was the Rams.
Well, it's always tough to see teams move around, but it's great to see once a team gets there to have success. Obviously, the Golden Knights this year, when you have success,
Yeah.
you build that fan base, right?
Yeah.
If the Golden Knights would have struggled for their first 3 to 5 years, this wouldn't have been a great hockey town. I'm sorry, just that's how it works, right? It's going to be nice that when the Raiders come here, they're still going to have some talent. Hopefully, Gruden's doing some things with them. It'll build a fan base right away. But if you bring teams to town that don't do well, it's tough. So it's actually really nice to see LA, the Rams doing well and having a team, that
And of
people want to
course,
go see.
Yeah. Plus, they have the the benefit of 2 NFL teams. I mean, so
Yeah.
you've got 2 teams coming to town.
I know I still say San Diego Chargers. I still can't say
I
LA Chargers.
can't
It's
say-
so hard
yeah.
to say LA Chargers.
It's
It
pretty
is.
much guaranteeing a game every week in the stadium.
Yeah.
Is basically
Yeah,
what's going
and
down to.
and again, it's the Chargers' second half was they played very, very good
Yeah.
football. So it was really good for LA to have 2 good teams
Yeah.
playing. I mean, unfortunately, the Chargers have this habit of starting this and starting that. But
Okay, well, I can't argue with the Rams pick, but every year I usually put at least $50 or $100 on the Lions to win it all because I'm not going to get caught.
The one year that they do
the
it.
1 year that they make it.
when they're
And
101,
honestly,
201.
this is what I like about what the Lions have done. With Patricia being a defensive coach, he brought in a bunch of defense. He knew the guys he wanted. He recruited those guys. He knew who the free agents were. He went and got them. The offense is stellar. They're probably the best wide receiver core that they've had with Stafford. I mean, I shouldn't say that.
Overall.
I'm
Without
talking about a group.
Calvin.
I'm not talking about Calvin Johnson,
Right.
but I'm talking about as a group, the best wide receiving group. And then you got a young running back coming in, Abdullah. Who knows what he's going to be.
That's the key. If they can get some production out of their running game,
Yeah.
I think they could make some damage. They could do some damage.
I think
'Cause
they
that's-
can win the division.
I do too. I do too. Especially again, give Stafford a running game. He's never had it.
Yep,
I'd love to see what he can do with a balanced offense.
that's right.
All right.
You're absolutely right.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, guys.
in, man.
Appreciate it. It was a
Really
great time.
appreciate it.
We'll have to do it again.
Always
absolutely.
consider yourself a friend of the show and let us know what's going on. And,
Absolutely.
We'd love to have again, especially once the season starts gearing
yeah.
up, have you come on in.
Yeah, I like seeing my videos behind you guys too,
Oh,
so that's
of
always
course.
good
I'm all
too.
with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and shout out to a couple weeks ago, we had a lacrosse guy on, Tyler Shively, and you shot that video.
Yep.
That was posted, so that was great.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
it is really 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah,
Here
absolutely.
in
Especially
town.
here in Vegas.
Yeah, it's a great little small town.
Thank
Yes.
you again, Ben.
Thanks, guys.
Ben Rowden, and again, Ben, socially, how can folks reach you?
Rowden's Reels, really on everything. Rowden's Reels, ROWDENREELS, at YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
All right.
Okay.
Great.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to hook up with an old friend. Coach John Isola, head coach of football at Legacy High School, is in the studio with his offensive coordinator. And we're going to be back in just a couple of minutes. Southern Nevada Sports News coming to you from WWDBTV.com. We'll be right back.
The golf store you've been waiting for is now open. Bob Allen Golf is ready to help you take your game to the next level. Bob Allen Golf is located at 6415 South Fort Apache, Las Vegas 89148. Choose your favorite clubs from our selection of Bridgestone, Callaway, Cleveland, XXIO, Srixon, Ping, Wilson, and more. We'll custom fit them in our state-of-the-art full-swing golf simulator. Come hang out with us and practice on our putting green to find out which club is perfect for you. Have your clubs repaired, reshafted, and regripped in our on-site tour shop. And talk about accessories. Guys and gals will feel comfortable and look sharp in the many sizes, colors, and options of apparel from Greg Norman, Black Clover, Under Armour, and more. The team at Bob Allen Golf takes your game as seriously as you do. Join our online family at boballengolf.com and stop in the store to meet us. Remember, at Bob Allen Golf, your game is in the bag.
And we are back, round two. Southern Nevada Sports News coming to you from WWDBTV.com. My name is Bill Miller, co-host along with
Jeff Belknap.
And as you can see, we have two new guests in the studio. And finally, a longtime friend of Jeff and I, going back to the old Vegas Kings football days.
Wow.
From Legacy High School head coach John Isola, known as Ice, and his offensive coordinator, A.J. Lewis.
Defense,
I'm sorry, defensive coordinator. Yeah, that would be awkward. A.J. Lewis. Guys, thank you so much for coming in the studio.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a long time, Ice. I mean, we were just kind of reminiscing about your radio show when you were head coach of the Vegas Kings.
Yeah.
Every Sunday, and
Yes,
right after the game, and then you would have your commentary, and then of course talk about the upcoming competition.
Yeah, it was fun. Good times. We had a lot of interesting times in the radio show, didn't we?
Oh God, yeah.
Stirred the pot a little bit. Did some great things.
Absolutely.
California loved us. Remember that?
And now, of course,
we were at Targets for the.
Oh yeah. I mean,
it's all right. They didn't beat us.
But at the same time, we were kind of catching up because it was right around that time we had the triplets.
Right.
Yeah. An idea as to how long we've known each other.
So how old are the girls?
7.
7.
7.
Yeah.
And 7.
And 7.
That's right.
7.
Going into second. It's crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Time is just flying by, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Flying by.
Yeah.
We certainly try to get the coaches in now because we know that the clock's ticking on getting ready for the upcoming season, and so we know that your time is going to be limited. But thanks again for coming in. So let's start with you, Ice. How long now have you been over at Legacy as head coach?
This will be the 5th year. So, we've been working hard. 5th year going in. We just got back from camp at Boise State University just last week. Been doing summer workouts and just grinding. With the school year shift this year, it's going to come real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, we were counting the weeks already, and it's like we just got back from camp, and we literally have I think it's 3 weeks in July, and then we're in August, and our first official season practice is August 6th, and our first game is August 17th against Burroughs High School in California.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so when I say it's coming, it's like it's going to be here.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast from the the playoffs and the championship games, and then till actually things start to ramp up, how little time that really is. Plus you're a full-time teacher over there as well.
Right.
Yeah. So and it's it is really becoming more and more likened to Division I, Division II, Division III, where head coaches, it's a full-time job.
Well, AJ and I have talked about that many times. It's like the amount of time that we put in. It's just amazing that in different states that guys are actually getting 6 figures for the same work that we do.
Yeah.
But CCSD, here in Vegas you don't do it for the money. Let's just put it that way.
Well, not only that, but they don't really allow you to go and raise your own money in a sense, like the way that they could.
Well, they let you raise money, but then they tell you how you have to spend it.
Right.
And there's a difference there.
Yeah.
Years ago, it used to be that you raised money and you could pay your assistant coaches with it. Now, if you do that, it's a misappropriation of funds, and you get fired for it. So they don't let you use the money. It goes into a football account, and then it's directed towards that. They monitor what you're spending, and in one aspect, you're supposed to spend it on the kids. You spend it on the program, and you spend it on the kids, but that's it. So it doesn't matter how much money you raise, you have to make sure that you spend it on the kids, which is not a bad thing. And
Right.
we've done a real good job as far as what we're doing at Legacy as far as dressing the program up and new uniforms. I mean, now I've been there 5 years and we've got new uniforms 3 times.
Nice.
So we're spending money on the kids and doing great things. And we've taken from our cloth, which is our Spirit Pack situation, where when I first was there, we had 1 pair of shorts and 2 T-shirts. So where now this year we have 2 pairs of shorts, 3 T-shirts, hoodies, game socks, a homecoming jersey, custom socks. It just goes on and on.
Nice.
And so
Outstanding.
I feel good about what I'm doing there and what we're doing for the kids at the program. So we're spending money on them. We definitely are. And I've never raised the price as far as how much our football fee is. So, I don't think that anybody's complaining over at Legacy as far as what's going on as far as the money. And I know that my admin has never had to save me for anything. So, and they like
good.
that too, because when you're not asking them for money, they're like, oh, we like you.
Well, is Rocco's Pizza still?
No, Rocco's.
Because I see that I go to Rocco's a lot, and I see the picture in there where they're older pictures.
Yeah, they did.
Everything.
We kind of parted with Rocco's as far as
Well,
the
that's it
sponsorship.
as far as Rocco's is concerned. Yeah.
Boycott
Oh, well.
Rocco's.
Yeah,
No,
that's
they
that.
they're just. Yeah,
Yeah, well, these things
happens, it
happen.
happens.
It
it's
happens.
what it was.
AJ.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. How long have you been over at Legacy High now?
I came there same year as Ice did.
Oh, nice.
So,
Okay.
Yep, I've been there. This is my 5th season there.
This season? All right.
Yeah.
Always as the D coordinator?
No, started out doing offensive line, defensive line,
Okay.
and then opportunities opened up, and stepped up to the plate, and I've been the D coordinator for 3 years now.
3 years?
Beautiful.
All right. Congratulations.
Yeah,
man.
appreciate it.
Yeah. So, how was last season? Let's kind of close out the last football season. How did you guys, did you feel that you did? And then, overall, what was the record? And,
Well, 7-4 was our record. The previous year was 8-3. The only difference in loss was we lost to Liberty, and Liberty's a heck of
Tough team.
a
Very
team.
tough program.
We've actually pointed it out many times, and AJ's brought it to my attention like a few weeks ago, and we actually brought it up with the kids today that Legacy as a program has only lost to 3 teams in the last 2 years.
Wow.
We've lost to Arborview, Faith Lutheran, and Liberty. That's the
Right.
only 3 teams we've lost to. We were 8-3 2 years ago. We were 7-4 last year. So those losses are combined just for those 3 teams. We finished up. We went to the first round. We handled Sierra Vista. It was almost a duplicate season, with the exception of Liberty. It was a duplicate season. We played. Everybody was the same except for Liberty. We played Sierra Vista in the first round. Beat them pretty well.
A good team.
Yeah. I mean, 2 years ago, Sierra Vista was undefeated, 9-0 going into Gorman. They lost to Gorman, and then they played us in the first round, and we beat them by 50.
Nice.
And then last year, it was almost a duplicate. We beat them by like 48 or something like that. Same route, and then we have to go through Arborview, and that's why in our losses, because we're playing Arborview in the regular season, then we're playing them in the playoffs. So we've played Arborview 4 times in the last 2 years. And we've drawn it closer. I mean, the matches are, I've actually looked back and filmed this summer at film of certain games, and I've looked at Arborview, and there was a game that we could have won very easily. Playoff game was no doubt a game we could have won. Don't want to get into sour grapes or anything else like that, but it was a very interesting officiated game.
Okay.
And I mean, like, a very unique officiated game where there was a lot of attention, so much so that my principal had actually told us to leave the field without shaking hands, and that came straight from the top.
Wow.
Because there was a lot of things that were going on, and it's unfortunate. Very
It's
unfortunate.
very unfortunate when officiating suddenly
Yeah.
becomes the first topic of conversation about a game.
I mean, especially when an official from the Arborview side comes over to our coaches at the end of the game and shakes our hand and apologizes and said, "I'm sorry for this, but I was the only one that was going to throw flags on the red team. The other guys were not."
Wow.
And that's just a little
Interesting, yeah.
insider stuff. But it was Arborview's a heck of a team. When you have to beat the refs and beat the team, that's tough.
Yeah, it's,
Well, I mean,
that's
as
awfully tough.
a head coach, that's fuel for you. Because obviously, if you take it out of the referee's hands, it makes it a little bit more difficult to do that. So, I mean, how are you going to turn that into, like, this is our year. This is the year that we're going to break through and beat these guys?
Well, we preach to the kids that, you only control what you can control.
That's right.
At the end of the day, how we play and what we do is all we're going to be able to control. We're going to work hard, and we're going to get to a point where, we've closed the gap, and we do preach to our kids that we will. This year will be the year. We said it going into last year. Did we close the gap? Yes. like again, you can only control what you can control. I can't control the officials. All I ever tell officials is let's have a fair game.
Yeah,
You know,
amen.
and just be fair both sides. You know, if you're going to call a game, be partial to both teams. Don't be impartial. You know,
Right.
and you know, like I said, it's been a while. Kind of past it. We're moving on.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Excellent.
So, do you have any particular players that you're really excited to see
oh yeah.
this year?
We're very young, but Amori Foster will basically be the guy this year for us as far as the team captain. Amori's been on the team since he's 10th grade. He's going to be a senior this year. So he's a 3-year starter. He's a two-time All-League athlete, which basically, because Amori plays lockdown corner first. He also plays slot, running back, punt return, kick return.
My goodness.
Wow. Amori's the real deal. I mean, he really is.
Yep.
And he's a really is. He's undersized in the sense of he's vertically challenged. He's 5'7", and that's where he's having a lot. You know, that's where his recruiting issues have come in.
That's probably why he tries as hard as he does.
I mean, your UCLA Bruins had come in, spoke to the coach about him, came in, asked by name, and when I spoke to the coaches from USC, UCLA, because we get them all coming the door, and they all come in and they wanted to talk about Amori Foster. And they know his height, and I've straight out said it to the coach at UCLA. I'm like, he's 3 more inches. He's recruited by everybody in the nation. He goes, Coach, you're not wrong about that.
Wow.
He's straight up. If that kid's 5'10", 5'11", he's recruited by everybody in the nation. He's that good. You know, it's just that sometimes people can't get past the eye test. But that's a guy. He's a heck of a player. He's top 3 player in the state.
How tall is his dad? I mean, does it look like something that he might just go through, or
No.
is he also 5? Oh, okay.
No, his family's not tall. His brother was our starting linebacker last year. He won Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
Amir Foster.
Yeah.
He's going to Dixie, and Amir was a guy that, you know, same thing. He was vertically challenged. He was only 5'8", and at linebacker at 5'8", 235 pounds, he had the strength. He had the records in the weight room. He had everything. He had the speed. And, you know, Coach will tell you that Amir Foster is the real deal.
Yeah.
And he ends up playing. He's going to play Division II football because of he's 5'8". You know, and he had looks, but at the end of the day, when the eye test is real, you know, these coaches come in and they look at the eye test, and you know, it's a situation where actually Amir, UNR was really interested in Amir, and they offered a kid Lampkin, who's you know, very good football player at Liberty, who was about 6'1", 6'2", fullback, linebacker, just like Amir, and Amir was second on the board, and Lampkin took it. And you know, when I spoke to Coach White over at UNR, he told me straight out. He said, Johnny, you know, Lampkin took it. If Lampkin didn't take the scholarship, we were going to offer Amir. So it was like that close.
Just that close.
That close to D1.
Yeah. AJ, you know, as DC, I mean, what type of defense are you running? That, well, at least whatever you can share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So we run a 4-2-5 defense. 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 DBs in the back. And we do a lot of stuff, bring a lot of pressure. And I'm a big game plan guy, so we're always adjusting to who we're playing and, you know, changing up our scheme depending on our opponent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, do your philosophies mesh or?
Oh yeah, we're both aggressive. We're both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know he is. So.
Yep.
All right.
No, yeah, we're multiple on offense and multiple on defense.
Yep.
My philosophy is that we have to be able to adapt and adjust, and that's what AJ does. I mean, that's what we do as far as the defense. We're a week-to-week game plan team because we'll roll out a different offense, not anything we don't practice, but our game plan is subject to what we're going to face.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the defense. We're a 4-2-5, but that doesn't mean we can't go in a 3-man front, a 5-man front, a 6-man front, sometimes no front at all. You know, and you know, it's just that's what I like, that's what I believe in, that's what, you know, AJ believes in, and we mesh very well together. A little history: AJ played for me at Chatter Ridge High School back in 2003, 2004, 2005. So he was one of my ex-players.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
That helps.
Absolutely.
You already
Very
kind of
cool.
have the scheme down a little bit with what he's looking for.
Yeah. So and he's a godsend. AJ's the man. To me, you know, I tell him how much he means to me all the time, and I think he's, if not the top defensive coordinator in this town, if they're going to put a top list on it, he's top 3, hands down.
Outstanding.
No, appreciate it.
Outstanding.
Love it.
You know, do you pattern your, you know, I mean, if you're watching a game, I mean, you guys are coaches, you're seeing a lot of different things that, you know, as a fan, I'm not necessarily seeing. although hanging around with as many coaches as I have over the years,
Kind of pick it
there
up.
are some things that I pick up and going like, oh, well, hey, I know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is there a particular DC that that you pattern yourself on, either on the college level or pro level?
No, you know what I do? I like to take little things here and there, more so than pattern after one guy.
Right.
Originally, TCU's head coach, his name's
Bartlett?
Peterson?
Graham
Yeah,
Peterson.
Pearson.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. He ran the 4.25, and when I was in high school, I was a big fan. And
Yeah.
TCU went 12-0 one year, so that's kind of where I adopted it from.
Okay.
But yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I got it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So if you were to point to any particular goals that you have for 2018,
10-0.
Start with.
Well,
Let's start with you, Coach.
Yeah, well, in progression, I mean, you got to walk before you crawl. But the realignment in the town now, we find ourselves in the Northeast Division. We always were in what I feel was the toughest division in the town, was Arborview, Faith Lutheran, Palo Verde, Shadow Ridge, Cimarron, and Centennial.
Yeah, those are tough schools.
And for years it was always known as the Black and Blue Division. Now they've been with the realignment and no more sunrise, sunset. Now they're doing mountain, desert.
Right.
And so we're in the Northeast. So we're in the mountain Northeast. So our division is Legacy, Desert Pines, Canyon Springs, Mojave, El Dorado, and Las Vegas. So it's a total different look. It's a different football. The style of football that was played in that division, there was the Palo Verdes and the Arborviews playing the double wings. It's a lot of heavy
Double wing,
power,
yeah.
strong defenses, strong defensive coordinators. Not an open game, a lot of power football, stuff like that. Faith Lutheran does a great job. Vernon of Faith does a great job.
Oh, yeah.
We're in a division now where everybody's going to be spread out. It's not as much power stuff. We feel that our weight room is always held up. We've held up with the big boys in that division as one of the better weight rooms and one of the stronger teams. So I feel that we should have that as an advantage for us going into that division. So when you talk about goals, I mean, I always preach 1-0. You can't be undefeated without 1-0, and we take it a game at a time. But as far as goals, talk about the potentials. A beautiful thing would be to be 10-0, but I truly believe you got to be 1-0 before you're 10-0.
Yep.
And then if we're 2-0 and 3-0 and 4 at 9-0, then it can be realistic and it could be something that actually could come to fruition. From just a program standpoint, I think we would really feel really good to get to win the second round of the playoffs. We started out, the program never was to the playoffs. Now we've been to the playoffs regularly, and we've won the first game.
Yeah.
That we would go to the playoffs and lose the first game. Now we've been to the playoffs and won back-to-back and won the first round.
Right.
Now it's time to win the second round.
Yeah.
And so, if I had to sign up for something right now, it wouldn't be a bad thing if I said that we went 3 rounds into the playoffs. Would I equate that to be a successful season? Absolutely, considering the program, the history of the school, it's never been there.
That's
Wow.
right.
Yeah.
So you're starting out with the California team in the opener.
Yeah.
And then what are your other?
We're playing
out of
Dixie
league?
High School out of Utah.
Okay.
They're coming to us, so we start out with 2 out-of-state opponents, and then we play on TV against Centennial High School on my LVTV on the Thursday Night Lights.
All right.
Nice.
And then the fourth game of the season, we have Arborview, which is the Battle of the Bulls, which is our rival game.
Yeah.
So even though we're no longer in their division, we still play them every year in the Battle of the Bulls.
Yeah, and you usually end up. Yeah, well, you usually end up facing
I like
them in the
it.
playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do you have a bull statue yet that you guys are trading back and forth?
They do. They have the horns that the school hang. It's a thing that they hang.
Okay.
I never see it. They have it in the trophy case up in the school.
You get that this year.
We don't have it. They have it. And if you win the horns, then you get the horns. And I honestly, the admin has more of a kick out of it than I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I take the game as another game.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
It's something. Even this year, as they're no longer in our division, so we've talked about the fact that actually the relevance of the Battle of the Bulls is even lesser now, unless we meet them in the playoffs. The regular season game is another regular season. I should say, out of league game. It's just another
Right.
out of league game.
That's right.
I mean, I want to beat Arborview, of course, but I want to beat Burroughs. I want to beat Dixie. I want to beat Green Valley, and I want to beat Centennial as well. I mean, if we want to achieve goals and be ready to go in the league, we have a pretty good off-season, preseason schedule.
That is good.
I mean, Burroughs was 9-3 last year out of California. Dixie is a perennial great program in southern Utah. Green Valley is a very good program here in town. Centennial has been up and down, but they've always been a good program. You know, and our review is our review. They're 8-time division champs. So, you know, that's why we schedule these tough games.
Oh, that's why you got to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to kind of test it and stretch these guys out
Yeah.
to their capacity.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we've got just a few minutes left. And as normal practice here, when we close out our guests, we have a couple of questions for you, and it has to do with the upcoming Super Bowl. And we would like each of you to pick the NFC representative, the AFC representative, and in the end, who is going to win it all. So, AJ, going to start with you, buddy.
That's how my Atlanta Falcons blew it a couple years back, embarrassingly. I'm going to roll with the Falcons.
Okay.
And from the AFC, I'll go with the Steelers.
Okay.
Okay.
And to win it all, I think the Falcons redeemed themselves and take it all.
They take it all?
Take it all.
New
All
stadium.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ice.
Me and the Super Bowl is an interesting thing because I, as a football coach, I actually have a weird philosophy about the NFL. Because people ask me what my team is, and I always say Legacy is my team. The other teams I have no bearings on, and I don't have anything to say about what they do.
Okay.
So I've always wanted different teams to make the Super Bowl every year, just to see a
I
different
like the
team.
idea. Listen.
I would truthfully like
Lord
to see
knows
the
it would help the
Jacksonville
NBA.
Jaguars.
Yeah.
I like the Jaguars,
Yeah, well, I tell you, they.
and I would like to see the Jaguars go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. I really would.
And against who?
Unfortunately, I think the Giants might catch some people.
Uh-oh.
I think they're going to be better.
You know, but I mean, honestly,
Well, all they need to do is make it as a wild card, and then they win it all.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Well, but I like Jacksonville. I hope it's a team that's. I just hope for two different teams. I really do. It may
Same
be,
here.
All right, let's go Detroit and Jacksonville.
That,
Yep.
hey,
That way, no matter
That
what, someone's going to win their first Super Bowl.
well, you know what? The Jets too. Even though every people don't like the, you know, the Jets are in Super Bowl III.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to Super Bowl 52.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
So
That's been a drive.
that's okay too. If it's
But if you win one, then you know the clock's off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
you
Well, it took the Cubs 100 years. So.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a good point right there.
we,
Was the
well, we
Cubs.
just had the first vote for the Rams.
Yeah.
With
Ben.
with Ben.
Yeah.
And he has the Rams winning it all.
Okay.
Yeah. And against what was it, Pittsburgh?
Patriots.
Patriots.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
If Brady goes into his last year where he announces his retirement, it's going to be hard to bet against the fact that it could be him.
Yeah, he'll do all he has to do.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I mean, look at all the guys. Ray Lewis won on his last year. Manning won on his last year. You know, against Cam.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but Brady's won enough.
that's true.
Yeah. He's just great.
One
at
more, he
this
can just
point.
take his supermodel wife and just
Yeah.
go
Right,
off
you
in
know,
the
right
sunset.
off in the
Exactly.
sunset.
So,
Fly off in a private jet,
There you go.
wherever they're going. Well, guys, thank you again so much for coming in.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it. And by all means, consider yourselves friends of the show. I mean, I certainly follow Legacy,
Right.
and I live out that way, so it's easy for me to catch the games. And I'm looking forward to going to your games and watching you guys, and I'll be happy to support you. But, you know, Coach John Isola, A.J. Lewis, defensive coordinator, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Really
guys.
appreciate
Right,
it.
and anybody that's looking for a partnership with the Good Football Program, Ice, how would they get a hold of you? Email or something?
Yeah, well, you can contact me at ISOLAJA, ISOLAJA at nv.ccsd.net, or, you know, my cell phone, I don't care, is 702-278-1100. It's on my business card with the football team, and, you know, it's like I pick up my phone all the time, so if somebody really needed to get in
Well,
touch with me.
it's really important that these schools get the funding that they need and get the programs that they need. I'm sure you guys have banner sponsorships. They have, you know, thousands of people to show up at games. I mean, it's a good atmosphere, you know, to promote your products and everything. So.
Oh yeah, between concession stands and banners and even donations. I mean, some people flat out because it's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
You know, over the years when I first started, I had a nice donation. You know, if somebody came up with $5,000 and they just, you know, they deposited in the school's name, it went into our account, and then they give them their tax form for it, and it was like, thank you very much. That's beautiful.
That's
you
it.
Absolutely.
can't beat stuff like
All
that.
that helps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and again, it's local sponsorship. If you have local businesses with local customers, they're usually at Friday Night Lights.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Guys, thank you so much again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, and once again, the hour has flown by, so join us next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and that's going to be the 4th of July. We're going to be doing an early taping,
AM
AM, because obviously we have stuff to do.
barbecue.
That's it. Join us next Wednesday. Again, Southern Nevada Sports News coming to you from WWDBTV.com. Have a great week.
God bless.